Hi, so my name is Nick Bennett. I'm the COO at Tandem. I look after a lot of the operations and customer service payments infrastructure teams at Tandem. Tandem is a digital bank. We've been going for just over 2 years. Our focus is on consumers, and in particular helping consumers to manage their financial life better through a range of different digital services that we offer. So as I say, we're very new. So we launched in 2018. We went out with what we think is a fundamentally different approach to banking. I think we've talked about it a lot, but we believe banking is being broken. We want to transform that and really address what is a central problem in most people's lives, is that they struggle to manage their financial life. So for us, it's about offering solutions that address those particular problems, whether it's helping them to save, helping them to kind of get through the month, or looking to get access to credit for maybe, to buy a home or for that particular purchase. So our approach is really about fundamentally disrupting the kind of normal way in which banks approach their consumers. Well, we had a lot of things. I think one clearly is we wanted to disrupt. So I think for us, we wanted to be in a situation where we're really fundamentally changing the way in which banks treat their customers and really create this sense of fair value. So I think one problem is I think most consumers feel like they don't get value from their banks. That's something we really wanted to change. So that's number one. I think two is clearly we want to be someone who's at scale. So for us, being a significant player in the industry is a really important thing for us, because I think at that level, with millions of customers, you can really make a big impact on the industry and really transform people's views of their banks. I think it's going to fundamentally change, because I think what we're going to find is there's going to be a much more of a disintermediation effect, where some banks, like I would posit Lloyds or Barclays, will become more like a utility banks. I think what you'll find is the kind of neobanks and the banks that do a great job with creating rich customer experience, rich user experience, they'll be the ones that own the relationships. I think that'll be the fundamental shift. I think it'll be less about incumbent and challenger and more about who's got the kind of the rich customer experience and they're using the app. And then obviously clearly the ones that are operating more as utilities, they may have millions of customers, but they're not really getting much out of it in terms of relationship. As to who, I think it's hard to say. I think I'd like the whole category as a whole to do well. So I think Tandem will do well. I also think Monzo and Revolut will continue to thrive. And I think that's something that's important for us. It's not just about Tandem. I think the sector as a whole needs to thrive for us to succeed. I think over a 5-year period, I think you will see a big shift. Does that mean that the old banks, the incumbent banks, are going to die? I think that's unlikely. I think banks are too entrenched. I think you might see 1 or 2 failures, but fundamentally I think most banks will be here to stay. I think what you will see, as I said, is a shift in terms of adoption from consumers working with traditional banks and having a very traditional way of approaching their banking to one where they're much more focused on using digital services in the same way they would do with their Uber, Airbnb or Spotify. I can see that model being one that you see in banking in the future. So I think innovation, I think I was talking about it earlier in my presentation here at PayExpo, but I think artificial intelligence is going to radically change the way in which, not just banks, but actually, most companies approach their consumers. So I think through the combination of good user experience and AI and data, I think you're going to see much richer experiences that consumers get. I think it's going to change the way in which banks provide that service, and also the way in which the customers get access to it through a much more personalized experience. As to kind of whether you see consolidation, I think probably that's very likely as well. How it manifests itself is probably harder to say. I wouldn't want to kind of speculate too much. I think it's likely at some point some of the incumbent banks will want to buy in to some of the more challenger banks, but I suspect that's not going to happen quickly. I think it's a little way to go. I think it's a great network environment, so I love coming here to sort of network, to meet peers, to meet partners. I think that's the main reason, and the other reason is content. It's a very rich agenda. You get an opportunity to see lots of different themes, not just in fintech, but also more widely. So it's a great place to learn and kind of share insights.